welcome to the first edition of Ask Quantum Touch. For those of you who have joined us before, previously it was Ask Richard Gordon, and now we've morphed into Ask Quantum Touch, where we will also be featuring other Quantum Touch instructors who are here to answer your questions and who have specialties of their own so that you can get to know our community more. So welcome to everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Renee Morris. I'm a certified Quantum Touch practitioner and Quantum Touch ambassador. And I'm very happy to be your host for today. And if you have questions, Richard Gordon is here. Henri Furgiuele is here. Richard Gordon is the founder of Quantum Touch. He's a world-renowned visionary, best-selling author, and has been in the field of energy healing for almost 50 years. Henri Furgiuele was one of the very first people to get certified as a Quantum Touch practitioner. She teaches internationally all around the world and has taught to over 4,000 students. She will also be one of our feature instructors at our upcoming Portugal retreat, which we'll tell you a little bit about later today. So I'm happy to have them with us today to answer all of your questions. If you have questions, you can start typing them in the chat now and we'll go through them. Thank you everybody for being here. And thank you, Richard and Henri, for your presence and for being here to answer everybody's questions. Do you have a couple of words that you want to say before we get started, Richard?
I'm just really glad to be here. It's so amazing to me that something as extraordinary as this work is not known by everybody because it allows people to do amazing things immediately, not like you have to wait months to learn how to do something. You have the ability immediately to start doing extraordinary work. So it's great to be here.
Absolutely. What Richard said, and he brought his helpers.
Yeah, he wants to be on the call also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Richard and Henri. So we have some questions coming in already in the chat. So we'll get started right away. And this is a great question. We've been publishing a lot of posts talking a lot about the infinity vortex, which is something that previously in Quantum Touch, people have never heard about. So we have Diana asking, what is the definition of infinity vortex?
I think I should probably take that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It was back in Cancun a couple of years ago, and I was teaching a retreat, and Henri was there, and a lot of the other, quote, old timers of Quantum Touch were there. And, you know, sometimes you don't notice something that's completely obvious. And I'm looking around the room at people I hadn't seen, some of them in 10, 15, or 20 years. And I'm realizing people aren't getting older the way I would have expected. And then I just put two and two together, which is in order to do quantum touch, you have to move energy through yourself. You've got to raise your own vibration higher and higher. And in doing so, in order to help someone else, you have to help yourself first. And that helping yourself first is reducing the entropy. Now, aging is a function of entropy. Now, you can think about aging in the way that it's often discussed, and you think, well, you got all this breakdown and you deteriorate. But what you can actually do is understand that the entire breakdown is a function of entropy. You have cellular toxicity causing damage. You got damaged DNA. You got misfolding proteins, telomeres getting shorter, mitochondria, stem cells breaking down. But healing is the opposite of entropy. Entropy is going from order to disorder. If you cut a finger, that's entropy. You go from order to disorder. But when you heal the finger, that is what Schrodinger called negentropy, but I prefer the word syntropy, putting things back together again. So what we're finding is if you can get the energy high enough and strong enough and long enough, the body will actually start to reverse aging. And we're seeing incredible evidence of it. So I started brainstorming like, okay, it's not just about moving the energy through myself well enough to help another person, but how can I give myself sessions, plural, every single day to raise my energy higher and higher and higher to not only slow aging, not only stop aging, but to reverse the aging process. And that's what the course in Portugal is going to be. And while I was brainstorming this, I was connecting with Deborah Gare, who is an extraordinary practitioner, instructor of quantum touch, who's had amazing experiences. Anyway, we were both in communication talking about what it was that we could do to make the energy stronger. And we both came up with the idea on the same day of an infinity vortex. And you saw the basic vortex in basic quantum touch, where you're moving the energy through yourself like a tornado spiraling through yourself. We figured out another way of working with the vortex to make it exponentially stronger. And we're able to move this. It's sort of like a double tornado kind of thing where we're moving it through ourselves. Won't go into the specifics of it. There's some stuff to learn there, but we move it through ourselves in such a way that we can amplify self-healing in ourselves so much that the aging process is radically changed. So I got these pictures from a recent workshop that Deborah and I were co-teaching. She was doing most of the work. But this woman, an older woman, took two pictures of her hand, her own hand, an angle about like that. And I posted them. It is astounding how far she was able to get in 6 weeks. Not everybody's going to get that kind of result, but I'm seeing it inside myself that there are absolute demonstrative indications that my physiology is getting younger. And this is thrilling. And by the way, now that I'm on this long talk, I just am finishing a new book called Energy Reverses Entropy. And I might have it out in a couple weeks or maybe even less. So a little plug for my brand new book. And so that's in progress as well.
The first class that was actually taught was in Cancun last October. And immediately after that workshop, there were people in the workshop, one of whom I think is actually attending this call, who saw her skin was starting to peel spontaneously, new skin was growing.
Wow.
I know differences in when I teach often in other countries on virtual workshops, and there may be a month or two difference between the time people see me. You're looking younger. What are you doing? What are you doing? And the way I feel is different. My attitude, and even more importantly, it's not just skin deep. There's so much more to it in terms of my attitude and the consciousness that's coming in with all quantum touch. It's never just a physical shifting. There's the emotional balancing from within. There's the mental clarity that's coming through, and your insights and your beliefs start to shift and expand into something more authentic for you and more in well-being alignment. So these are, if you want to live longer, as Richard often says, you've got to want to live longer. There has to be some passion, some joy inside you. And I'm finding that working with the Infinity Vortex is helping with that too. Surprisingly so. Did not expect that at all. Yes.
It's so amazing that the answer was within all this time. People are looking for the magic treatment, the molecule, the surgery, the magic bullet of whatever it is. And it was already inside of us. It was that biological life force, spiritual energy, the bridge between science and spirituality, the bridge between the physical and the metaphysical. Just what you've been doing with the basic moving the energy through your body with basic quantum touch is the first step. That you get good at doing the full body sweep, feeling that energy surging through yourself. And by the way, you never reach the end. So the first exercise of, can you feel your feet? Can you feel your ankles? That exercise, I practice it every single day. And no matter how good I get, you can always stretch. It's like working a muscle. You get better and better over time. But if you want to take it to the next level, and by the way, I am noticing things. Like, for instance, I had crepe skin on my arm. It's completely gone. When I hang my arm upside down, I could see some hanging skin. It's 85, 90% gone. I'm much stronger than I was in my 20s or 30s. A couple days ago, I did 31 straight dips, coming all the way down, all the way up. And in about a month, I turned 77. And I have no joint issues. I'm on no medications. I'm not on steroids. I'm not on peptides, doing, not doing the fancy stuff. I'm just eating good food, getting some walking in, and moving energy. And you're absolutely right, Henry. You have to choose to want to stick around. You have to choose to be good to yourself. You can't expect to poison yourself and overcome all the damage you're doing energetically. But you don't have to do it all at once. You can take baby steps every week and just do a little better than you were before. And not only will your body feel better, but you'll feel better about yourself. Because to operate with that integrity is one of the steps of self-love. That you actually do the things that you believe is a subtle, significant way of building self-love.
Because at the core of that, Richard, and I'm really getting this, every single quantum touch workshop has at its core that there is something valuable inside each of us. And to acknowledge that, and really not just as an intellectual concept out there or some woo-woo something, there's a spark of life that is inside you that is really, really worth working with. And when we have this intelligence deep inside, this what we call the inner healer, you work in harmony with that, transformation happens.
And I think it's been true throughout the entire time. By the way, I started energy healing in about 1975, so it is 50 years now, and my bios could be upgraded. But what we've seen is the body has an ability to heal itself beyond what most people have imagined. And you look at the studies of placebo or people with multiple personality disorders, and you see what is the common thread? The thread is the body has an ability to heal faster than you could ever have imagined. But identity matters too. And the process of learning to work with the energy changes your beliefs and it changes your identity. And when that belief and identity changes, you become aligned to allow things to happen that are outside of the consensus reality.
Definitely. And if you really want to focus on that, I encourage you to explore level 3, the Becoming Whole workshop, because that's where that blows open the doors and you begin to feel really inside yourself. Begin to connect all these different threads and parts of yourself that you've been ignoring or judging or pushing aside, and integrating into that. And it's hard to stop talking about this because I could talk for 3 hours just on this one.
That's wonderful. Amazing. Thank you both. What a great answer to that question.
Well, it's a little more than that question, but it's good.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about the Becoming Ageless techniques and work. To me, it's really extraordinary. So we'll move on. I'm sure that subject will come back up, but we'll move on to the next question. The next one is from Jill. And Jill asks, have you helped anyone with borderline personality disorder? If so, what is the best way in Q2 to do quantum touch for it?
Do you want me to go on this one?
Yeah, I haven't had any experience with that, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I've worked with some individuals that have been experiencing those kinds of symptoms and signals. We don't work with diagnoses, we work with energy in quantum touch. So we're not stepping beyond our scope of practice. But what we do know with quantum touch is that when there is an imbalance that is not so visible to us, there's a part of ourselves we're ignoring, or there's a part of ourselves that we're judging. Those are two common or the parts of ourselves we're feeling sorry for ourselves, or all these other things where we are not in alignment and not comfortable, not grounded. All of those things tend to happen because there's undigested life experience at the root of it, that they were holding on to wounding in some level. And so our own inner healers, that deep intelligence, usually makes things visible. We see it in our relationships, or we see it in our finances, or we see it in our physical body in some way, or in our emotional well-being domain. But what we find is energy works at all those levels, and just cultivating that universal, unconditional love, it is you're able to help yourself, and you ease yourself through that situation. So what you're ready to release, you start to release, and you're no longer walking around with that baggage weighing down your well-being. So we don't really address this condition or that condition. We just work with connecting to your well-being that's innate. And yes, it does make a difference.
Wonderful. Thank you, Henry. And thank you, Jill, for your question. That's a fantastic answer. Thank you, Henry. So our next question comes from Mimi in the chat. And Mimi asks, what does charging water do to the water? Does it filter out toxins or fluoride?
Well, the energy does not filter anything, but what it does do is it raises the vibration and energy of the water itself. Now, if you charge water, depending on the glass of water that you get, where it came from, almost universally, people will say it tastes softer, silkier, and smoother. This is because it's affecting the hydrogen bonding. The atoms are getting a little further apart in the way the hydrogen, you see, hydrogen and oxygen make water. So if the hydrogen is spread out more, the water tends to taste silky, soft, and you can also change the taste of wine. So I recommend doing it with water that you would want to drink, not water that needs filtering. But if you must drink it, run energy into it first. You can run energy into your food. You can actually run energy into any kind of physical object. And you can even test it, as I talked about in my book, The Secret Nature of Matter.
There's a tip, if for those of you who spend a lot of time traveling, or you're in hotel rooms or places, you can run energy. You learned this in level 1 quantum touch. You can run energy in the room. You run energy in the carpet. You can run energy in a bed. You can run energy in a pillow. You know, your clothes, everything responds to energy. And some of the places when I travel, it's like, okay, I can tell somebody had a fight in this room. I'm not sitting anywhere here until I offer some energy. And it makes a big difference.
Thank you to Mimi for your question. Next, we have Christine in the chat. Christine says that she's completed the first course of Quantum Touch. She's fairly new to this. She asks, can you send energy to different areas of your body for healing at the same time, on yourself or on others? So can you send energy to 2 places on your body at the same time, whether you're working with yourself or somebody else?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Go ahead. You want to go?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, you can absolutely send it multiple places, but as I continue working on myself, yes, you can think about the 2 and you can merge them together and you could use techniques. But one of the techniques I'm playing with now, and I'm going to give you a little cool technique, is you can do the full body sweep, move the energy, but on the exhale, you can put all your attention on one spot you want to run the energy. So you keep taking a breath, full body sweep, and on the exhale, keep bringing it to that same spot. You could do 10, 20 breaths. Now, what if I'm trying to reach a spot in my middle of my back where I can't reach it very easily? Well, that's no problem because I know where the back is and I can feel it. So I'm just taking the full body sweep, move my energy into my heart chakra, move it to wherever I want it to go, and keep working on that spot over and over again. I think it's strong enough that you don't have to do multiple things at once. It's if you can just focus on one place, give it your all, the energy is going to work for 2 or 3 days after you're done, then go to another spot. You don't have to multitask, spin all the plates at the same time. You can you can actually just focus on one spot and give it a minute or two or 5 minutes, then go to another spot, and you'll be doing fabulous work.
Go ahead, Henry.
Nothing to add to that. That was it. That was
Okay, thank you, Christine, for your question, and happy practicing. So next we have a question from Meg. This might be it's a similar question to the one earlier about the bipolar disorder. Meg asks, what kind of outcomes have you had with quantum touch and mental illnesses? I've got numbers of requests for schizophrenia, and I found it's challenging for a number of reasons. In short, they originally react to the healing really well, but then they bounce back to the symptoms.
For me, that means that this is when I would work with self-created health, or what is now called level 3, becoming whole, where we're working with the innate ability to let ourselves heal at an emotional level. And some of these wounds go deep. And for me, there's a pandemic in this planet right now that's been happening for decades. It's the pandemic of mind running roughshod over everything else, the intellect. And it's not that we don't need that, but it's that we tend to judge our emotions as bad. And they aren't. They're part of our guidance system. They're part of our innate making visible to us something we need to address, just like a sore shoulder is. And so for very often, we don't have outcomes by diagnosis, but what we do have are lots and lots and lots of experiences where the self-healing ability within everyone, whatever the diagnosis, is innate and immense, the potential for it. But each person is different, and they have to be ready to open some of these doors. And sometimes people make different choices than choices we would like them to make. So we just send them love. That's it.
Yeah, we can't figure out ahead of time what kind of outcome to expect, but we do have a big toolbox. And if the energy is working, it means the body has the ability to make the change. But there's something being held up, something else that needs to be addressed. And when we find the emotional causes, not only do symptoms often clear up, but people are grateful for having had the condition because it showed them how they had stopped loving. It disconnects them from themselves. And if a person's sufficiently wounded, the disconnection can be so profound and so deep that they can start disassociating with themselves.
Thank you, Richard and Henry. I can attest that the self-created health is a transformational workshop and definitely a must take for anybody interested in doing that kind of work. So we have a question now in the chat from Lena, and Lena says, I've taken some quantum touch courses with the Shift Network. The latest was the age reversing, and I have all of Richard's books. With all of the specialties and development of the method, I feel a bit stressed. Is it impossible that everything I've learned so far could not be enough?
The bottom line is all the tools in the world aren't ever going to be enough if you still carry the child wounds, you haven't processed the emotions, you haven't dealt with the levels of forgiveness, and if you're still poisoning yourself nutritionally. That you can improve things up to a certain point, but you have to get to the deeper level sometimes to get a deeper response. So we've seen so many extraordinary positive things happen, but also we can't avoid personal responsibility.
We don't start with personal responsibility, we start with the love.
Yeah.
But the responsibility is a part that needs to be there. Yeah. There's so much more to talk about on this.
It's really hard to encompass
It's
it all.
really hard to just stop at 1 or 2 sentences.
Yes.
Yeah. Great, thank you. Thank you both. We have a question here from, a comment from Jill. I'll just read it because it's great. Richard, thank you so much for your book, QT 2.0, The New Human. I've learned so much from this, so I'm passing that along to you, Richard. Then we have a question from Judith Clark. Judith says, I'm new to quantum touch. Are your seminars only for medical professionals?
No, everyone. We've even had children in the workshops, so accompanied by their, guardian and stuff. Yes,
Yeah, I've
absolutely.
always been impressed that
Mhm.
people instantly pick it up. I think I've had children as young as 7 and 8 in the workshops,
Yeah.
and I've seen great grandmas in their 90s immediately pick it up. I remember in one workshop we had a woman who'd never taken any healing before. She was like 97, and some man who was training to be an Olympic athlete had a knee problem. And you're thinking, well, how could her energy, she's like 97, how she just did miracles on everybody she touched. And it was her first day of working. We really don't know the limits. And so whatever you believe about your limits, you're probably wrong.
Great. Thank you, Richard. And for Judith, welcome to the Quantum Touch community. And yes, you are welcome. There's no prerequisites to take Quantum Touch Level 1. It's open to everybody. So welcome. And now we have a question from Don in the chat. Says, when will there be a Zoom becoming ageless class? Portugal is not possible.
There's shift network classes, and then there are the classes levels 1 through 7, which Quantum Touch offers by certified Quantum Touch instructors. And Quantum Touch at this point wants levels 6 and 7 to be retreat workshops, because there's something really special and dynamic when we're all in the room together. The energy field exponentially transforms, and you just walk out of there in a different space and place. There's something to be had to behold in that situation. But Richard, you want to talk about Shift Network?
Well, the Shift Network has been, a stepping stone to see if we could do it. I was actually initially against it because I know what it's like to actually be there and experience the energy directly. And so we're trying to do it and we're getting some good results, but it's not really satisfying for me because I know how much difference it makes to actually be in the room.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got a lover, but she lives 1,000 miles away. Well, it's nice to talk to her, but I really want to experience energetically the connection of being together physically. And that's what happens in the room. We're creating this dynamics that's so far beyond what happens on a Zoom call. It's really incomparable.
Great, thank you. And Henri, maybe we could take a minute. You could share a little bit about the Portugal retreat where levels 6 and 7 will be taught in person October 17th to 21st. Just share with everybody a little bit what they could expect if they decide to register for the retreat.
The level 6 is becoming more workshop. And Richard, initially, it starts a Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday. And then the level 7, becoming ageless, follows immediately after for 2 days. So it's a 4.5 days of deeply experiential, powerful healing work and rejuvenation space. And you're in a gorgeous garden kind of location in Portugal, where we'll have lots of space to integrate, digest on our own time, and get together with really dynamic co-participants. The actual class of level 6 began, Richard, if you want to talk about how you started that, you're welcome to. Or do you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
It's Richard had several dynamic, he's always having these dynamic experiences that catapult him, leaps ahead of, okay, let's do this now. And so the idea of, can we really, first of all, own our own gifts at a deeper level? And then using techniques that are in this workshop, share them with each other in ways so that we are each all able to help each other transform and open more fully. And so we are working primarily with our upper chakras still in a grounded way. We're going to be exploring what gifts are. They come from our heart. It's not just learned skill that we have. It's a way of being. It's how we approach life, how we approach the people in our life or our passions in our life. And it comes straight from our own heart energy. That is something that quantum touch knows very well how to work with, because we work with life force energy. The essence of it um, is universal love. So we cultivate that acknowledgement of what's already innate inside us and appreciate what that is, and then learn how to beautifully share with the other people in the room. There's some healing techniques, especially using 12th chakra. There's some other new dynamic events that are in the room, how to integrate more, a different way of learning how to take notes that work from all parts of your mind, not just linear. So that's level 6, the becoming more, and followed immediately after that is the level 7. Miriam Hunter and I will be teaching, facilitating the level 6, and then Deborah Gare and I will be facilitating the level 7, which is going to be 2 days using all the techniques that have been downloaded so far, including the infinity vortex. And by the way, the infinity vortex is not the infinity sign, and it's not the regular vortexing that we do in level 1 quantum touch. It's something different, something incredible. And it has a mind of its own. It comes in before I even address, what? Hello, there it went, So there's deep wisdom in this. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, it's that we all have these extraordinary gifts, some more developed than others. But it occurred to me, like, what if I could experience your gift directly? And it took a long time to be able to figure out an effective technique to be able to do that, because I intuited, and I had had some early experiences that told me it was true. It was unquestionably true that it was possible, but I didn't know how to do it. Now, can you imagine receiving somebody's gift? You don't get it intellectually, you get it as body sensation, and you get it as emotion. And the more you open up to it, the more you receive these gifts, and they transform you. And after 2 days of receiving other people's gifts, you have been elevated, because you need to just let it in and drink in the incredible joy and love and gratitude of receiving everybody's gifts. And then you're ready for the reversing of the aging process. Because what we have to do is we got to get the energy to altogether new levels of syntropy, where the extraordinary self-healing can happen at a faster and more powerful pace than ever. So that's what people will be in store for. So yes, it's a little out of the way from wherever you are, unless you happen to be, in England or Spain or something near, or Germany or near Portugal. But it's really worth it if you want to have an extraordinary experience, because this isn't like any other retreat or workshop I know of. This is something special. This is something really different, because you take it home with you. And even the becoming more, we have a way for people to continue sharing their gifts after the workshop is over. So the workshop doesn't end, on the second day. The workshop continues, because you get this collage of pictures of everybody, and you can continue sending them energy, and they continue sending you energy. So we continue that, but you have to allow yourself to open to it. You have to match energetically with what's coming as the gift. Like, somebody could give you the most beautiful gift, but if you don't open it and you leave it in the corner of the room, it doesn't have impact. So you need to open, unwrap, and receive the gift. So if you're willing to receive the gift, if you're willing to receive the gift, you can continually grow and change. And that's part of the thrill of it, because you don't control it entirely. You're going to be taken to good places you may be a little unfamiliar with, and it will stretch you, but it's a good kind of stretch.
We encourage you to, if you can, stay an extra day after these 2 workshops. I call it digesting time. This will be the fourth time, the level 6, the becoming more, will have been taught. And after the first 3 experiences of them, I needed 2 or 3 days to really integrate and synthesize. And it's not a mental synthesis. It's a remembering the experience, and then suddenly having a memory of what one of the people we were sharing with, what their experience was, and then it deepens and it richens. You stay grounded. It's not an overwhelming experience. It's the opposite. It's an unfolding. Mhm.
Yeah, it just feels like coming home again on the inside, but
Mhm.
to a home that was always there, but it was a little outside of reach or awareness or what you would normally do.
And you meet like-minded, like-hearted souls who are going to be there. In this last workshop we had in Cancun,
Wow.
there were 5 guys, we call them the Brotherhood, because they were from all different parts of the world, different ages, and they were, and it's like they had known each other somewhere before, and they were there. It was just, everyone would just beam looking at them. And now their families are knowing each other, their partners are meeting each other, and they're staying in touch. So these magical moments happen where the synchronicities start spiraling everywhere. Mm.
No question about it. I totally enjoyed that, by the way.
Great. Thank you, Richard and Henry. So you are all invited to go to the Portugal retreat in October. For anybody who's interested in registering, the information's on the Quantum Touch website, quantumtouch.com. And right now, there's a promotion. You can get $300 off of the workshop until August 15th with the coupon code GIFT300. So GIFT 300. So I encourage you all to register as soon as possible. And now we'll continue with the questions. So we have a question from Skip in the chat. Skip says, has anyone had success quieting tinnitus?
We just run energy
Yeah,
where the owie is. I mean, that's it. And some
yeah.
people have had that shift and dissolve, and some people are still having that symptom because there's something underneath it that they need to address. And they can do that in level 3. Mm.
I think part of the fun is that we just have no idea what's going to happen. Henry, you were there at one workshop. It was a neck problem some woman had,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden her hearing came back.
Yes.
And she'd been in an auto accident as a teenager, probably in her late 40s or early 50s when she took the workshop. But you work on one thing and something else opens, but there's messages. And that's what the becoming whole, or I call self-created health, is about. Is that if there's this ringing in the ear, what am I not hearing? What am I not paying attention to? What is constantly irritating me that I'm not dealing with? We can get to the core emotional issues and then give people tools and techniques to process. So if the energy doesn't do the job, if the energy is insufficient, then pull out the big guns and let's go to the deep emotional level where we can really transform it, because the body wants to heal. And so what we end up is what I call the 10,000 questions. What about this condition? What about that condition? What about this condition? And the answer is always the same. The body heals itself. If you provide the energy, it will do so. But the higher self may have a different agenda. Not that it doesn't want you well, but it wants you to learn something. And if the energy doesn't do it, then we need to go to the deeper level of the emotional level, the spiritual transformation that the person is truly asking for.
And even if the energy works, sometimes we're not sure we want it to work. One of my clients years and years ago came because he had chronic back issues and had one session. Oh, feels good. And so he had another session scheduled for a week later, just as a follow-up. And he discovered when he got home that after 2 or 3 days and his family realizing he didn't have back pain, his wife started asking him to do things around the house. Oh, could you run this errand? Could you fix this? And he decided he'd rather have back pain. So he canceled the follow-up session, just letting me know, I really like my freedom with the back pain gives me. So that most people aren't that conscious in themselves to know it
That's
directly, but
there's another fascinating phenomenon,
yeah.
which is you have to be willing to accept that you're going to be healed.
Mm.
And some people find that very challenging. Deborah Gare told a wonderful story. She worked on a woman who had a severe bunion where the bone comes out, the cuboid bone sticks way out, and the toes are all bent to the side. So the foot's here and the toes are off that way, and very bad. And within 10 minutes, the toes had come all the way up and the bunion had come in. And the woman kept repeating, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. I can't believe this. And the next day, her toes were back. But consider this, a lot of people want the Hollywood miracle. Ding, you're well now, you're transformed, it's a miracle. But how much better would it have been for that woman if she had booked 8 or 10 sessions and said, I think my toes are looking a little better today. Yeah, they really are. Oh my goodness, 4 sessions in, they're like 30, 40% better now. This is wonderful. She could have accepted it had it taken longer. So there's a value in the body making adjustments at its own speed. And people are so addicted to the idea that, oh, I'm just gonna, get out of my wheelchair and jog down the road, as opposed to why not allow things to evolve in a way that I can accept them, appreciate them, and integrate them. What if it took you, like when you take the Becoming Ageless workshop, what if it takes you a whole year to stop getting older? What if it takes you another year to get 6 months younger? What if it doesn't show up? What if after 3 years, you don't notice anything? In other words, you didn't age anymore. That's a big win. Maybe, you see, if the train has all this momentum behind it, all this entropy has been going on, like a train going down the tracks, and all you managed to do was to stop the train. Hooray! Now maybe we can turn the train around. Maybe we can get momentum going the other way. Maybe you get a year younger every 2 years. Wow. But in terms of results, you may not see very much. You may not see much happening, but it's extraordinary because you've actually won the game. You succeeded on a level people didn't even imagine was possible. And we're seeing much better than that, but I'm just giving a slow scenario so you could put your expectations into a comfortable place where, wow, what if I can stop it entirely and I can maintain this indefinitely? But what if you can go much further back? And when I look at you and Deborah Gare and Jennifer, it's extraordinary. I've got pictures of Jennifer where she looks 12 or 15 years younger than she did 3 or 4 years ago. Um, I see Deborah, who is, I think she's 53 now, maybe 54, something like that. And people think she's 29 to 32. And so it's possible to get these extraordinary results. And even in myself, I mean, I have people spontaneously telling me, Richard, you're looking younger now. And I'm going, wow, that's very confirming that it's working. But I feel like I'm just getting started because being born not back in 1948, there's a bit of entropy that I have to overcome to get it to go back that much further. But I'm making progress, and that's what matters. Not the speed, not the symptom outcomes, but the progress.
I'm 74, and
Yeah,
I have pictures of me 20 years ago where I look older than I
yeah.
do now.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, and I have the same. I have the same. And so we're really pathfinders opening up the door of possibility and of what can be, because the world didn't know this existed. Well, first off, the world doesn't believe energy healing is real for the most part. Once you get that, and then you realize we can take it further and further than you ever imagined, and then even be able to reverse aging. I mean, if it's a priority for you, then I really think it's worth it to take the difficult or giant step of saying, okay, I just got to be there, because the retreat is going to be that special.
Thank you, Henry and Richard. And Larry writes in the chat that he would have guessed at least 15 years younger. So for you. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Thank you, Quantum Touch.
Yeah.
We have a question from Eric in the chat. Why is the process to becoming a Quantum Touch instructor so demanding?
We've opened the doors wide for people who are being practitioners, but it's a different level of, it's a different skill set, not just to be able to do something, but be able to articulate it and to be able to explain it to people who may not get it the first time you say, or because of where they're coming from. It has to be complicated. Can't be this simple. It has to be hard, So we want to make sure that the students are in good hands, and so we want our instructors to be prepared and to be able to teach well and to be able to communicate. And there's an essential simplicity to quantum touch, and so many of us try to make things more complicated. We try too hard. Does this sound familiar? Oh, I gotta push harder, gotta do a good job. All of these in undercurrents take some time, a little bit of time to let go of. So you realize miracles can happen just connecting into the heart with the breath and your intention and attention together. That's why we want our teachers to be prepared.
Thank you, Henry. I'm in the process of becoming an instructor right now, and I'm looking forward. I'm very, very excited about it. I'm hoping to be certified around October. It's a great process, so really interesting. Yes. So we have a question from Mimi in the chat, and Mimi says, if you send heart energy, is it necessary to use the supercharging techniques like toning, colors, funnel vortex, etc.?
All of quantum touch techniques, all the different workshops are based on what you learn in level 1. You never outgrow level 1. You learn hands-on and distant healing in level 1. You learn how to work with your own inner healer. You learn the principles that support the work, that we're working subatomically, and it's not a molecular-based healing process where everything is linear and using force or things to create change of state. So you learn these things in the foundation. And absolutely, you're going to be able to use that level 1 everywhere you go. And I kind of went off in a different place in my head. So tell me again, because I started, level 1, let's talk about that.
So the question was, if you send heart energy, okay, heart energy.
Yeah, it just dropped in again. Sorry, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, see, your inner healer helps you at all levels. So those are going to be there, and ways of tweaking and amplifying that in level 2 supercharging or becoming supercharged. But what is unique about the supercharging workshop are these 12 colors that are the blueprint for vibrational wellness. And those 12, they're not regular colors that you see in the rainbow. They are a couple of octaves up. Imagine middle C versus high C on the piano. It's at least at that level of elevation, and they are vibrational. They support you. They are so benevolent. It's like a warm smile welcome you. And each of these 12 colors do dynamic things. Each of these colors are around and in every cell in your body. And so for me, that in itself is worth the workshop. Nothing else, just that, to add to what you already know using the breathing, the sweeping with intention.
We have a question in the chat from Christine, who says, do you send energy to the areas of the body by intentionally sending energy, only for the body to do what it knows to do for healing? Or do you add your imagination of the body part healing along with sending energy?
I have not really tried to make it work better in that regard by trying to imagine it doing its thing, because it is more intelligent than me. You could have a group of the smartest scientists and physiologists who wouldn't know how to reproduce a single cell. You got millions of new blood cells being created every second. You really think you're smart enough to direct how healing happens? It's kind of the height of arrogance to think we're smarter than the body intelligence. The way that proteins can fold in a microsecond in these really complex ways, there's billions of changes. There's actually thousands of changes taking place in every cell every second. You really think your intellect is going to power that? It's not the way it really works. All we have to do is get into the depth of our love, of the allowance, and move the energy with abandon. Give it your all, pedal to the metal, get out of the way, relax. In fact, there's a really good thing that you can do. When you've run energy into a spot in your own body for like 5 minutes, it's a really wise thing to do to stop and just breathe and relax and let your mind go. In fact, if you've been doing all this deep breathing, what I find really helpful, and I haven't taught this before, but I find it's a really great technique. After you've done all the breathing and sweeping and you move the energy and you do the fire breath and all this stuff, just relax and maybe stop breathing for 20, 30 seconds, just whatever's comfortable, and just let go. Now, what you're doing is you're allowing, when you stop the breathing, not forcefully, the mind stops, because the mind is constantly following the breath. And when you slow it down or just, and just let go, you stop the mind. And by stopping the mind, you're completely out of the way and you can let the healing happen on a deeper level. We used to do something we call core transformation that used this approach to just, let it go. You do the work, then give it a moment or two where you're not doing anything and then go back. So it's the doing and the not doing, the yin and the yang that we're in this dance with. Maybe 3/4, 80, 90% doing, then just let it go. And don't do anything and just let the energy do the magic.
I love that. Thank you, Richard. Thank you. Great answer. So we have a question. We're coming to the end of the hour soon, but we have a couple more questions to get in. Francis says, I've taken quantum touch through the Shift Network, and my intuition a while back when doing the practice was that it's divine love that is the core foundational energy underlying the practice. Any thoughts? Question mark.
I fully concur. You got it exactly right. That's what's happening.
Excellent. Not more, not much more to say about that. Thank you, Francis, for your question. And Sabina writes, when is Richard's book on reverse aging coming out?
I think it's nearly completed, and I've got to get the cover fixed on the back, and I've got a few more edits to do. I think maybe within 2 weeks, if I'm lucky. I can't pin it down yet. There's a lot of variables, but it's going to be called Energy Reverses Entropy. And it is, in some ways, I think my finest work yet. And what people think when they buy the book is, oh, I'm going to learn some techniques for, slowing, stopping, and reversing aging. And they're right, they will. But what they don't realize is when they get to chapter 7.5, it's going to transform physics, medicine, psychology, human identity, and philosophy forever. And it's the biggest paradigm shift humanity is yet to experience, but it's cloaked as, and we can get younger. And they can. But when they learn these skills, it will change everything. So it's a very exciting book. And I posted, just a preview on X. I'm getting a tremendously good response, even though they say you're not shadow banned on X, but I am. I've got close to 7,000 followers. I get like 150 views on a post. That means I've been throttled down. But nonetheless, when I pay for the advertising and we get it out there, this book is my finest. And so if you're excited about the work, keep an eye out because it'll be out there probably within 2 weeks, maybe 3, but maybe sooner than that. We'll see. I can't predict it quite yet, but we're getting close. I've been staying home just working like all the time on these books. And my Lazarus book is going to come out. I worked with a spiritual teacher from 1980 to 1995. And I carried 2,600 pages of notes of the best psychospiritual information I could come across. And I've got a new book coming out. It's going to be called The Lazarus Material, probably be out in a week or two. And it is a compilation of the deep insights. It's got 50 chapters to it. And if you want to, for $9, you can buy a 50-sided die. And if you have a question, what about this? You roll the dice. You can use it as an oracle. Oh, 37. All right, let me turn to chapter 37 and read it. And synchronicity of the universe will allow it to function as an oracle. This is not a book to read. It's a book and put on a shelf. This is a book to keep on the coffee table. And when you have a question or you want to understand something more deeply, you could read these chapters for the next 20 years and you're not going to absorb it all because I haven't absorbed it all. And I've been working with this stuff since 1980. So there's a lot of depth here. And I'm also very excited about that book. So haven't been on the road teaching. I'm working to do these incredible processes of getting the writing out there before I take on a bunch of other projects that I have in mind. So that's what I've been up to.
I'm looking forward to your books, Richard. And I saw you post about the 50-sided dice. I thought that was such a really cool idea. So I'm excited to spend that nine extra dollars too.
Oh, it's going to be
So
so much fun. You just roll the dice and read the chapter number, and there it is. It's going to be right there.
That's wonderful. So we'll just sneak in one more question at the end of the hour, but I realized that I missed Claudia's question. Claudia says, would you please share how you go about cleansing the room or objects with the energy? How do you navigate this?
Do you do that or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we learned distant healing in level 1, with sending energy across space. And this is space. That's it. So you can put a pillow between your hands and run energy, just like you put a pillow, put your hands on a shoulder that hurts and offer energy. So you can do any of that. You can put your hands on a wall and run energy on the wall and the floor. Or you can simply do it through distant healing, non-touch. And use all the different resonance factors in level 1 or any of the workshops that you learn. And to support that, make it fun, make it really purposeful and helpful for you. I use this a lot when I travel and when I teach. Sometimes I feel the energetic presence of the students even after they've left the room physically. When I used to teach in my home, I definitely used this, and I found that it's really very easy to do and simple.
I would add one little thought, and it's a good concluding one as well. You can send the energy to anyone, anywhere, or any when.
Any when. Exactly.
Any when. You can send it across time. And in one of my experiments, in my Secret Nature of Matter book, I didn't put this one in because it happened after the book was published. And so most people don't know that it happened, but you can, Henry, I want you to try this one. It's really fun. What you do is you measure somebody's hips or cranial bones, and then you send the energy to align them 10 minutes from now. And then measure them immediately after, and they're still out of alignment. It's like, oh my God, it's the first time I ever sent energy to someone that wasn't aligned. It was like a shocking, like, okay, I'm sending you energy and now I'm going to see what happens. And it didn't work. And I check them 10 minutes later and it did. So you can send the energy to any when. as well. So you can send it into your past, into your future. When you know you have to give the talk, you have freedom with this work. And so that's what we're really about, is letting you know how free you actually are. So that's where we've taken it. And so it sounds like a great way to wrap things up as well. And I just want to thank everybody for being on the call, for embracing the work, for studying it, and for giving your love to other people, because that's what makes the world better. We uplift ourselves, and then we are in an uplifted space where we can help others and give to others, and it keeps getting passed on.
Absolutely does. And it's a gift that keeps giving. What Richard just talked about, sending energy across time as well as space, we learned that in the last half of level 1 workshop. So this is at the foundation of everything.
Yes.
And it works with the where your foundation is. So rejoice, play with it, enjoy. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here today.
Thank you, Richard and Henry, for your presence and for making yourselves available to answer questions from people directly. We had one quick question that I'll answer from Diana in the chat. She asked, what is the code for the $300 discount for Portugal? And it's GIFT 300. So GIFT 300. And that coupon code is available until August 15th for $300 off the retreat price, which is a great offering by Quantum Touch. We have many people expressing their thanks in the chat. And also Jill says, can't wait for your books, Richard.
Thank you.
And great. And Larry says, Quantum Touch is a tremendous blessing in my work as a body worker. So some great comments in the chat. Thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you to Henry and Richard. We will be hosting another Ask Quantum Touch, so be sure to stay subscribed to the newsletter. You can sign up at quantumtouch.com. Thank you for your presence here today, everybody. Much love, light, and life force energy to everyone, and see you next time. Thank you, Richard and Henry.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay,
Thank
bye,
you all.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you, everyone.